Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Folks, we're back on Unfiltered. You know, this is the show where we talk to guests who we tell, listen, this show is called Unfiltered, so please say it like it is. And of course, I'm in the office of, I was with him not too long ago. And because of the reaction I got, I decided, okay, Roma, you know the saying, if it's good, it must come twice. So from the reactions, I just assumed this is so good, so it might come twice. Remember, I was introducing him and I said, when it comes to legal issues, when he talks, there's a word that I use, gravitas. So I'm back to my lawyer gravitas again, so we can have conversation. We're going to talk about the law stuff. We're going to talk about issues of the looting. We're going to talk about all these things that concern Ghanaians now. But let me stop talking because I'm in the presence of a man to respect.
Gravitas.
Gravitas. Yeah, the gravitas. How you doing, sir? Good to be back, man.
Sure.
And
Glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm back because sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times I read the comments from my viewers, and depending on what you're saying, I can tell they want more of gravitas. So that's why I'm back here today. And I think when I called you, I said I wanted to talk about things, about the legal issues, about these loot issues, about everything. So let me start this way. The other time when we talked about the CJ and how there are elements of politics that believe that maybe she was victimized, maybe things were not done as right. And Afenyo made a comment about this whole thing. I just want to play the comment quickly to you, and then I want your reaction. Listen to this.
That's what did she do?
That in cases that suited her,
Which
she
cases
quickly had it quickly.
specifically?
In fact, in one of the petitions against the CJ,
Yes.
they mentioned
Afenyo
one of
MArkin.
the exactly.
But Afenyo
was a
MArkin
case was a
wait,
case in point.
Hold on. What did she do wrong in the Afenyo MArkin case? A constitutional matter of that urgent nature had been occasioned by a pronouncement by the speaker. Government business had been stalled, and you don't think that a constitutional court had a bona fide responsibility in that circumstance to consider and determine the matter? I'm surprised. Why those arguments? People trivialize everything. In any event, what was her interest in the Afenyo MArkin case against the speaker? What was Tokonu's interest? The Chief Justice, what was her interest? Did she have any interest personal to her other than the Constitution?
The accusation is that she had an MPP interest.
Oh, come on.
So, lawyer, we're back. Your reaction?
Kwaku, thank you very much. I think that the Honorable Afenyo MArkin was being economical with the truth, to say the least. First of all, I believe he misrepresented the factual situation. Asking what the interest of the former Chief Justice was at the time. It's now giving Ghanaians what actually was her interest at the time, to protect the government in power. That is what she is demonstrating now, to keep the MPP government in power. That must have been...
Quick question before you finish. Was that her interest? That's what you see as her interest?
That's what I'm seeing now. Else, she would not be forum shopping. You know, going to this court today, another court tomorrow, a third court, and all that. We call it forum shopping in law. And if at that time we downplayed her real interest, now I can say that she was out to play politics. And a judge ought not to do that. Once you don the judicial colors, you cease to be a member of any party. You are a justice of the Republic of Ghana. Now, if today the former Chief Justice is allowing herself to be used as a pawn in the hands of the MPP, then what she is screaming out there is that she was willing to do the bidding of the government. Then let me give an example. The 4 seats declaration saga that we witnessed as a nation, what happened? Her body language was out there for everyone to see. I noticed it. And what is happening in Parliament, at least today we know. We have heard it from the horse's own mouth that she didn't have any interest. But you just, cast your mind back. Let us cast our minds back to 17th, 18th of October last year. Within 30 minutes, a Supreme Court had been empaneled. 5 justices of the Supreme Court were empaneled within, to borrow Nkrumah's shortest possible time.
That's unusual.
Unusual. The Supreme Court will never do that. It would have been unthinkable before then for the Supreme Court of Ghana to be empaneled. What was the urgency about that matter? That a motion which was ex parte was thrust onto the judicial desk. And within a very short time, 5 justices had been composed to deal with the matter expeditiously. If the Honorable Afenyo MArkin described that as expediency, then I'm afraid we have a long way to go.
Well, how else would it be described if it's not expediency?
There was nothing expedient about that. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Now, if there are 3 arms of government: Parliament, the judiciary, the executive. Each of them it must be independent. I know that they usually will cooperate, but that occasion did not call for that. The Speaker had exercised a discretion which had support under the Constitution. So not that it was devoid of legality, it was constitutional. And yet we had a Chief Justice composing a court to hear an application in which the lawyer for the applicant drew the court's attention that even though there's some urgency about it, nevertheless, we want to point out to you, my lords, that the other side is not here because the application, was not on notice. And because it was without notice to the other side, you just give us 10 days to go and put our house in order and notify the other side to come. The Lady Chief Justice said no. That in itself was unconstitutional. It was unknown to our jurisprudence, because the known jurisprudence is that if it is ex parte, then under Order 25, Rule 1, Sub-Rule 7, the court is legally enjoined to grant 10 days maximum, so as to bring the other side on notice. That is the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So quickly, then we can move on because I know we have so much to talk about today. Afenyo MArkin is himself a lawyer. Would this information that you are sharing with us be unknown to him, or you were thinking he just didn't pay attention?
I guess if you are politicizing everything, you don't see things the way the ordinary human beings will see, and appreciate. You are in another planet, so you see things differently. Now, I heard, the Honorable mention that the committee that the president, set up in consultation with the Council of State consisted of 4 justices.
We see the conduct of the Puaman Committee as a travesty of justice. I mean, what that committee has done, the purported recommendation, should prick their own conscience, all the committee members. A referral has been made to you as a committee, and at least 4 of the members of the committee are judges, a retired Supreme Court judge and 2 sitting Supreme Court judges.
I mean, that's unpardonable, because under Article 146, Clause 6, the committee, the composition has been spelled out. 5-member committee, 2 must be justices of the Supreme Court. The remaining 3 must neither, be members of the judiciary, nor members of parliament, nor the. So how come that, for him to say that there were 4 justices of the Supreme Court? The president, would have violated the Constitution, but that's not what we are in Ghana. We all know that the Puaman Committee consisted of, Scott Puaman as chair, Kwame Esiedu, the other justice of the Supreme Court, and then 3 other persons, 5. So never 4 justices of the Supreme Court. That was false, and therefore it makes the argument flawed. Yeah. See.
So your final conclusion was that the CJ must have had an interest.
Sure. At least what she is, her present conduct leaves much to be desired. If she didn't have any interest at the time, the writing on the wall now is that, it was underneath. She suppressed her true feeling. It is now that the thing has, is manifesting, and everyone is seeing, reading, along, side what she's doing, and I don't think that she's doing any credit to herself. The picture out, there now is that she's been a yo-yo, and being used by the MPP to attempt to keep, the wheels of governance grinding. Let the wheels of, governance grind to a halt. And then what will happen will happen. And then maybe she will be a beneficiary. Who knows? But
what in the final, so we can move on, what is your final advice to resolving this case, or just killing it once and for all?
I think she must be ignored. The president must ignore her. She must be ignored. Nothing will, stop her from going on the rampage. If she's trying to rape, the nation, it's not to her. But I think that the pieces of advice that we have given since October last year, if she had heeded those pieces of advice, she will not be where she finds herself today. So I think the whole nation must allow her. She's treating the office of Chief Justice as though it were her personal property. Let her put it in a handbag and walk along with it. That's all. Yes.
And that is Lawyer Asare for you. And as I call him, we have had a bit of gravitas in there. Let's move on, because lawyer, there's so many things that is on the minds of Ghanaians. Everywhere you turn, it's the question of the loot and the cash that's been amassed and stolen and all sorts of things. And I remember talking to you about that. I'm sorry I couldn't get into that aspect of things. And you quickly hinted that it's funny that all of Ghana or all of us worried people are just worried about money. But you said it's not just money that has been looted. You let me keep quiet now and let me hear your particular concerns with this whole loot issue.
Kwaku, sometimes I ask myself questions. What have we done wrong as a nation? Why are we looking on, unconcerned, when two political parties have virtually reduced the nation into two football clubs, Asante Kotoko and Accra Suffolk? So depending on which side one finds himself or herself, you tend to support. We don't think about Mother Ghana. We are not thinking about Mother Ghana. We are thinking like supporters of Kotoko and Has, how many goals our teams can score. Therefore, if I am an NDC member and my party is in power, hear no evil, see no evil,
Speak no evil.
speak no evil. If I'm NPP and MPP is in power, the same. Therefore, it's like our politics. The analogy I can draw is that, it's like a ping pong game. So let's use this. Pap, pap. So as we play the ball, becomes interminable. Unless and until the ball drops, we keep playing. So, if NDC is in power, as the party is, currently, then 80% of Ghanaians who are now, feigning to be NDC will not see anything wrong, with what the party does. And if we just change and use the MPP, is the same. So we tend to be stealing from ourselves. We will steal, and one day we will steal our own consciences. Now, if you look at the legal system, ask yourself, don't we have laws that deal with graft? Why are the laws not working? The laws are not working because you and I, everybody, all of us, tend to benefit from the spoiled system. So, if you cannot take it any longer, what do? You withdraw. You recoil into your shell and keep quiet. Therefore, you go to court. And, God knows how many times those engaged in the thievery approach law enforcement agencies and the courts, the judges. So we can't do anything because all the reports, the Commission of Inquiry reports, collect dust on the shelves. We shelve them. Nothing is enforced. Nothing is implemented.
If I could just come in for a quick second. That, for me, sounds like a very scary situation for any nation. But let's take Ghana. We are in Ghana, so let's keep it to Ghana. If the laws that are supposed to actually prevent theft and graft and everything do not work, where do we stand? And are the laws not working because it is also in the interest of the parties to make sure the laws don't work, or simply because those who are in charge of making the laws work do not know how or are simply not doing it?
The entire system is sick. The entire system, maybe it needs a midwife to carry out, a minor surgical operation. I won't say major. Kweku, how many times has this nation been able to punish wrongdoers. We are talking about loot. How many of our ministers have been punished or even stigmatized? Elsewhere, they will name and shame you. They will recover the loot and imprison you.
Anybody who has stolen anything from the government must start running now. It is vicious, it is serious. It is a process that is not controlled by me. Experts, crack experts who have the skills and the expertise to identify the problems and to trace where the assets have gone. Anybody who has had anything untoward to do with government resources must know that the most stunning moment of comeuppance is around the corner. And we took this approach so that it doesn't become a political witch hunt. Nobody says, well, they persecuted him when he was in the opposition, now it's payback time. There's no payback. An objective, scientific, proper, professional process that determines what happened. And we're not doing it to punish anybody, we're doing it in order to correct and to lay down some bright lines about not only those who were there before, but those who are there now and those who will come in the future. Now they know there will be a forensic audit. If you steal, you embezzle, you will go to jail. It's as easy as that. Doesn't matter who you are.
Here, the loot will be shared by the people who have been entrusted to go and recover, including the courts.
That's a very sadly and
Including
very
the
serious
courts.
allegation, basically.
Including the courts. Because you see, unless you get very close to where these cases are investigated and adjudicated upon, you will never know. Why is it that we know that if Kweku Asare sells 10 CDs, he may be jailed and expeditiously. A minister steals millions. Oh, his newspapers, sensational headlines. That is all.
Misappropriation. It was stealing the...
Now, when ministers are stealing millions, it's no news. But the headmaster misapplies a PTA dues, bad press. So it means as a nation, we don't even know our priorities.
Is it that we don't know, or we know, but for whatever reason, we hold back?
If you know and you don't do it and hold back, it is as if you don't know. The two are the same, isn't it? If you know and you forget, it is like not knowing. You know, but on Sundays, and let me share with you where our sickness is felt most. Go to any church on Sundays. Those who loot, big collection, dues, into susu dudu,
Tithes, yeah.
tithes. Is anyone hearing me? God loves a cheerful giver. If you have, I can see somebody there. God is saying, and you see this poor old lady or old man, something towards, where, they have, the bowl, and then the last they will put in. And then the big people who steal will sit behind and, give huge millions, and we adore them. Yeah. So all of a sudden in this country, Pastors outnumber the teachers.
You have more pastors than teachers.
More pastors. They outnumber them. You see, everyone is now going into, commercial scripture. I call it commercialization of the holy, word. So unless our courts will work, unless our law enforcement agencies will work, but they can't work, because when you are paid 3,000 cedis at the end of the month, and you see a minister buying a cow every weekend for a party, what would you do? That is it. So, if I'm a judge and I have remained in the same position for many years without elevation, what must I do? I have to sacrifice my good conscience and do what my conscience will usually tell me not, to do. But I have to, in order, to be promoted. So, when I was a law student, you could tell, from the senior judges, the poorest among them, usually would turn out to be the correct ones. Yes. They will not accept anything. But today, times have changed. A new lawyer is enrolled on Friday, October, let's say 4th. Within 1 year, he's riding in, a V8, and society will not ask, where did you get the money from? Such a person would be the person they call swag, or a swag, and everybody will follow. So we have misplaced our values, and because we have many more politicians in the system. When did you learn about politics? So some 30 years ago, politics wasn't for, young people. Today, the average age is about 30. When we were learning how to crawl. So, our secondary school days, the politicians were in their 50s and 60s. Today, we're having politicians who are 18. So unless we mend our ways, we have no future.
If I should say this, that the beginning of everything should begin with law and order, and respect for law and order, not just to have the law and order there to be respected, but implemented. And I think that in a society where law and order does not work, how do you even build the nation if people don't have any respect for the law? And I was going to ask you this, because some of the things, they say is the law, somebody has stolen so much money, it's been put in the papers and everything, then the lawyer will say, I'll prove to you that this was not right, blah, blah, blah. Is this all part of why things are not working? Because even the law that is supposed to protect the nation, move the nation, can sometimes impede the progress of the nation. Do you get my question?
Yeah, I do. The picture is this. The laws are there. They are not working.
Why?
Why are the laws not working? Because they are being implemented by human beings. And the human beings who are to implement the law don't have any faith in the rule of law. So we see it more or less like, let me go to work, I'll get paid. So go and do this. You turn and, I'm doing this. Those are they are not doing, but they are rich. So, how did you know? You want me to tell you? Okay. I've done A, B, C, D. If you are willing to come along, I have an ally. So, if I loot, I'll share with you. You share with him. He will share with, my brother and my PA. So, what happens? We are all looting. Now, if you shut up, and then weekends, you see your own friend who a few years ago, couldn't even make ends meet, all of a sudden has come into wealth. And nobody's questioning how the person, they say, if I tell people that I started buying land when I finished Legon in 77, the little things that I did, just one plot. Another time I went to Nigeria, the savings I made, I came back to Ghana, invested in land. So I want to do my farming, domestic one, backyard garden, and all that. So many improve yet. Now, if I'm paid, that's then income from practice. I'll share this with you publicly. When civil servants, were buying their bungalows, this thing, I told my wife, let me also buy the residential facility for the director of the law school. Then my wife asked me, but if what they are doing is not, are you joining them or what? What would you need the director's residence for? I said, but everyone is by. He said, no, don't do that. You let them go ahead and do it. The little one we have in Latte, let's just, be content with that. So I said, okay. So I went, to school next day and shared the story. But a friend I had called me. He said, sing Christo Angasa. I said, oh, no. But you see, sometimes you have to listen to your wife. But go to Laboni, where, I lived for about 13 years. You have people who have retired, still in government bungalows, even can die here. And not that we don't have data on government property, we have, but everyone is stealing. So what? Yes, so the policeman, to go and effect arrest is himself stealing. You see,
the judge who will be sitting on the case has also stolen somewhere.
Has stolen something. So to be honest with you, our judges who sit on land cases have shares in the land. They have a booty in the land.
So you're thinking I'm in court, I have a judge, and I have a case.
So the system is not working. We are not serving justice. The other day I said it, I told you, I have written letters, to previous governments and this government, that people's, lands, family lands, individual lands, in the hands of lands commission have been converted into, a farmland for the land officials. And when they go to court, what happens? The judge will make an order. Lands Commission will not obey the order. What happens? People are being promoted. We've written petitions. I wrote to a minister that this particular person forged documents. So lands officials designing fictitious documents for their friends to take other people's lands. So all we see today in Ghana is appropriation of people's lands. So you go to, areas where government has acquired lands compulsorily. All of a sudden, they have become, lands for individuals, ministers.
And whether just to be clear, when the government acquires the land, they're supposed to be used for something
For the
national.
purpose for which the acquisition was effected. Now, if government acquires land, it means government has paid. Therefore, it becomes the property of government. But Article 20, Clause 6 of the 1992 Constitution says that if the state does not use the land for the purpose for which it was acquired, it must be returned to the pre-acquisition owner. And of course, then the pre-acquisition owner must, refund the compensation. On the other hand, if it is vested, so state vested land, it means that the state did not pay anything, and therefore, if it is not used for the purpose for which, it was acquired, then it must be returned to the pre-vesting owners. So if you look at Section 268 of the Land Act, 2020 Act 1036, it says that after the coming into force of the 1992 Constitution, it shall be unlawful for any family land to be vested in the president. Since 7th January 1993, government is still, vesting family lands. And ignorance.
Ignorance. I was going to ask that.
Ignorance. And therefore, the politicians, are feeding fat on our ignorance and stupidity. You see? So they know, now we know the farmer nyame, they won't do anything. So now, Lands Commission has become, Lands Commission GRA. These are the two areas that our children will now want to work. You ask your child, why do you want to work at lands? Oh, scour up, so GRA, customs, immigration, lands commission. You finish university today, tomorrow you are there within, a year, you have 10 story buildings. How many people are questioning these nefarious acts? We are watching because, we are also beneficiaries. So they bring the loot and we all partake.
I see.
That's it.
I see. So that's the whole issue here, that we'll talk about the loot and this has done that and somebody has done this. But it has become a circle of looters.
Sure.
And that circle includes politicians,
includes
pastors,
all of us,
judges, us, everybody is in that circle.
Sure.
So are we kidding ourselves when we say we're going to break this circle?
We can't.
Can we?
We can't cleanse ourselves. We can't.
Wow.
I mean, we are all partakers of the loot. You see, and weekends, people who loot organize big parties and they invite ministers, cabinet ministers, friends of the big shots, family members, and they all go. So today, our politicians are trying to create dynasties. So our presidents have started, all of a sudden, creating dynasties. Our MPs, dynasties. So if something happens to a husband, the wife must immediately, succeed. So we are all of a sudden becoming successors. So husband dies, they are surviving spouse, and then from MP to minister. So our children are now, walking into our shoes to do what? To replace us. You see. So many years ago, the teaching profession was like, the profession apart from law and medicine that people, will inch to enter. Today, I want you to say, oh, no. Let me the teaching them, Kai. Even the way they will describe.
Quick story. Quick story. I think what I heard was when my father approached my mother's family to get married, they were not that thrilled with him in terms of his finances or anything. But our teacher knew. I'm sorry for giving out this secret, but so that was my father's
card. He hadn't entered the priesthood yet.
No, you're priesthood, not a teacher. Before I got into priesthood, I became a big time moderator. He was a good teacher, well-respected teacher. So,
but it's a serious, issue, and I think that you see the problem is that. We need to strengthen and resource our law enforcement agencies. We need to re-examine ourselves as a people. To inquire. Let us interrogate ourselves. See where we have, gone wrong. Maybe we've sinned against God. And this is the punishment, the divine punishment. Otherwise, it's senseless.
Sorry to cut in again, but to what extent can we blame sometimes culture and our traditions? Because in our culture, it's supposed to give respect to anybody. Quick example, not too long ago at all, some policemen pulled me over, I think they were inspecting the licenses. They were inspecting certain things, so they pulled me over. As soon as he came to me, sorry, he was begging me, and I said, listen, no, you're doing your work. If you're doing your work, do your work. No, I should go, And I was trying to, big man. And I said, look, inspect if I've done something wrong. Take me to whatever. They say, hey, but even when we catch you, we make a mistake and take you to the police station. Do you know what the inspector will do to us?
It's true.
Yeah, but that's our culture, though, isn't it?
Yes,
how do we now get people to start thinking that these cultural things that we call respect are really killing the nation?
I think it is something that it will take us many years to try to change.
Change that, yeah.
It's something that I don't think can be changed. What we need to do is to be able to distinguish between right and wrong. It's a moral issue.
Yeah.
At bottom, it's a moral issue. If I do this, it's not going to help Ghana. And if I see my neighbor in some wrongdoing, I should be able to educate the person or alert the other neighbor to be wary of what this other. So, from Nkrumah's days to today, a judge must be politically correct in order to move on.
Move on, yeah.
If you are politically incorrect,
you stay where you are.
You stay where you are. Into a magistrate, but after 22 years, some new person, discovers you, and then they take you out of the room, and that sort of thing. Unless we change that, but if we had a system which will reward merit,
there goes the system that will reward merit.
Merit, yes.
How do we create that system since it's so lacking, and all of us talk about it, but nobody takes the next step as to what we actually put in place to make sure that that is implemented.
Start from the home. Start from the home. So sometimes, the story I shared, my wife, telling me to my face that what you are going to do is wrong. Why do you have to buy something that... Where is the Chief Justice's official residence today? Do you know where it is?
No.
How many Ghanaians have questioned, why the official residence of the Chief Justice has been converted into a training center? When the former president was demolishing the residential facilities for justices of the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court, how many Ghanaians were able to raise anything at all?
You mean for the cathedral?
For the cathedral. That area used to house justices of the Court of Appeal, High Court and Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. So sometimes let us blame our leaders, the president, the vice president, the speaker, the chief justice, the chairman of the Council of State. These 5. Let us blame them. So you know what? Now, this year, next year, and the coming years, I'll be advocating for change. That the next president must be a woman.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. Kweku, we've tried our fathers. Nothing seems, to be working. Maybe our mothers
will make a difference.
Yes, will make a difference. To bring about the desired change. So the other day on, another platform, I said, let Professor Jane, Nana Poko Ajiman be the next president. Seriously, I think after, President Mahama, let's give, our mothers a try. Maybe, the way our mothers do things, they do things differently. Sometimes your mom, your wife. But if our mothers are going to be, instruments of change in this country, maybe things will change. But where we have reached now, if it should continue, there'll be no Ghana one day.
And you have believed that perhaps if we give the woman a chance,
perhaps God will hear our supplication.
What do you think we have done wrong? Let me just guess. From everything we've experienced and greed.
Yes, greed.
That's what we are paying for now.
We are paying for it now. That's the bane of our society. Yes, avarice. The insatiable desire for power, for money. Even now, you say sikedro. Sikedro. Obiwa. It's normal. So, have you heard anyone dying of hard work? Tell me how many people you have heard in your lifetime have died as a result of hard work. So you want to work, to improve. Hey, Jajanade, abaye jumaya odia, abaye jumaya odia. Na kweku, na share way. And okuta viet, okuta way. Now bisano. So you ask your friend, oh, you know what? I mean, we call something over the bar. So you go to, bank, any bank. The carbon, carbon, yes. Sometimes they will, mislay it. So draw it a little so that the original, what you write, on the original will not appear on the carbon, and therefore the carbon copy will not tell, the actual story. And that is how our banks are looting. So you go, to another place, the GRA, they tell you, long room, if you go to, the harbor, long room, what the far, which you now, minister nebidi, nienche. So instead of paying the tax, to the state, it ends up in the pockets of the official. What happens? You know, all of a sudden, GRA, if you don't pay your PE, they add about 125%, and the court will endorse it. They take you to court, but it is unlawful to, charge much more than what the norm. But they will tell you, but that's what the law says. And then lawyers, of course, will go and articulate, the issue and bring to the attention, of the judge that, you have not paid your PE for a certain number of years. And at the end of the day, the person who will report you and actually secure the conviction gets 30% of it. So the GRA people are always inflating. And then you tell the judge, but my submission is that this thing is wrong. Say, how is it wrong? Is it not the law? This Christmas, go to judges' homes and see where, the executive, will be having lunch with parcels. If every Christmas our politicians will be flirting with our justices and giving them money, where do you think, the justice is heading towards? So banks are bribing judges, executives are bribing judges, that. You say this in, say, contempt of court. Mm-hmm. So we are using the law, to
shield.
Yes,
wrongdoing.
Sure.
You're a lawyer of no mean standing. You have a whole law school. By the way, we are coming to you live from Mount Crest. This is a law school, and that's the founder or co-founder.
Yes.
And you're speaking like this. Sure. It's like, but you're a lawyer.
Yeah, but I must say the truth.
Yeah.
Tell the
but
truth.
How can you help initiate some reforms that will help build things?
You see, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in Ghana, you take a first step, till the kingdom come. Mm-hmm. So you want to initiate. When I'm teaching my students, I spice it, from time to time, intermittently, with stories, sharing jokes, don't do this. The regret is that when they finish, they do the opposite of what you taught them. And in a country where we are all stealing, sometimes my students will ask me, but you say we shouldn't buy questions, but the others are buying. I say, you study your law with integrity, By the way, this year, my students did me proud.
Show some love, man.
So, thank
Mount
you
Crest
very
Law
much.
School,
Yes.
they passed there.
Oh, they passed.
Cool. With integrity.
So, with integrity. Sometimes I feel guilty because I see people, turning a blind eye in this thing. And then I tell my students, look, don't copy, don't cheat. They say, but the others are cheating. I say, your reward will come one day, go there, don't cheat.
And it's hard for them to swallow it because it's been done elsewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, that is the guilt I carry all the time. Why do I prevent my students from then? I tell them, be the odd one out. Don't try to follow the crowd. If you read Far From the Madding Crowd, then the other thing is that we as a nation are worshipping money today. If you have money, you have everything. Unless we do away with that mentality, Ghana is not going to change. But my message is that our politicians must stop stealing. They are raping the nation. They will rape and rape and rape, and the penetration will be such that one day there will be no Ghana to rape. So we need to stop.
To save what is left of what we have.
Yes. And it must start from the presidency. If the president can always look us in the face and say, I promise you that if I say this, I'll live up to that. And that me and my household are going to be worthy examples of what I tell you. Like Nanado will come and say, fellow Ghanaians, if the president can every month ending assure and reassure fellow Ghanaians that, any minister caught in some form of wrongdoing must be, reported and dealt with decisively. And I promise, my word is my bond, and therefore I'll implement it. Some of these things,
Gravitas. We just have a few seconds to go, so I just want you to. Where's his camera? This one. I want to look directly. Let's hear your final words to the people of Ghana. So, what do you think Ghana should know? If you have any message for the Attorney General with the looting and everything, I want you to directly.
My message to the Attorney General is that Dominic, please, be bold, be courageous, be firm, and do what a noble lawyer will do. That is, enforce the law as it is, not as what it ought to be.
Wow. Show some love, man. Lawyer, sir.
But I think he's doing well.
He is.
I think Dominic is.
Yeah.
He needs our encouragement and support. He will deliver.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
he will deliver.
Coming from you, may I take whatever you say when it comes to the law and social issues with gravitas?
I think he'll do.
So there you have it, folks. We've unfiltered everything, and we'll be back again with more unfiltering. But let me say a big thank you to lawyer Asare. And for those of you, one of the comments I got on Facebook, they said, after seeing you and hearing you, they want to attend Mount Crest.
Oh,
so, so folks, there you go. Thank you very much.
I always, want to be counted among, the bold spirits.
That's
I'm not a timorous soul at all, and that's what I want my Attorney General to be.
Thank you.
A bold spirit. Not a timorous.
So over to you, Dominic Ayeni.
Yes.
He wants you to be a bold soul,
Spirit.
and not what
Bold spirit.
We want to be a
Not
bold spirit,
Not
and
a
not
timorous soul.
not a timorous soul. So should all of us be. Catch.
Dedi kama amena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.